Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries has redesigned comfort.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Hopefully everything's set up correctly. I haven't streamed in like a week, so yeah, hopefully I'm ready to go here. I'm a little bit scatterbrained today. But I am ready to work on some stuff, and I just realized this is going to be a little bit of waiting involved with this project. If you saw my tweets about it, we're going to work on adding gold leaf to these items. They are already gold right now, painted with spray paint, but they're going to become much shinier after we put this gold surface on them, so that it'll be, I think, quite a bit shinier and match the kind of finish of the coat and stuff that I've already been adding to this costume. So I want things to kind of look as consistent as possible and look as shiny and nice as possible. So I thought that this would be a really fun project to do for that. So yeah, I have never done this before. I've seen a couple people do it, and I've talked and I've read about how to go about it, but I'm probably still going to mess up as we do this, but I'm going to do my best and try to come up with something that works. Oh, thanks guys. Loaderbot, nice to see you back. Hey Link Fan, hey Piano Sammy within One Tiger, and a bunch of other people who are all here. So thank you so much for coming. Oh, and before I get started, I wanted to give a shout out to a couple people here in the chat. I'm going to be using these paintbrushes that I got from Noonkin. I put the name on it. These were a wish list item, and so was the gold leaf kit itself. This one was from Travelsome. So both of these items that I'm using on the stream today came directly off the wish list for this stream. So yeah, it's because of you guys that these items are here, and thank you so much. So yeah, I'm ready to put this stuff on. I have a little paintbrush here that I'm going to be using to apply the adhesive. This is the little bottle of adhesive that I've already opened. Hey, Loaderbot just subscribed. Thank you so much. And Piano Sammy just subscribed with Twitch Prime, so thank you so much. I don't know if it did that notification, but yeah, we're ready to go. There it is. Okay, I think I got it early. I'll try not to spoil the announcement. But yeah, this is just, well, first of all, I'm using this as a test piece. This was my extra clasp that I started putting together for that bag, and I realized after the fact that I wanted to use a different elastic cord. So I never finished this one, which is why it looks all lumpy, but what I'm going to do right now is like kind of use it as a test piece for the gold leaf, because I don't want to start putting gold leaf on my other items without knowing what the hell I'm doing. Oh, Link Fan! Link Fan just bought the Iwata Neo air compressor for the airbrush that was on my wish list, so thank you so much, Link Fan. I could definitely use that airbrush for doing something like this in the future. But yeah, it'll have to come in first. So thank you guys so much, and thank you, Link Fan. So I'm just going to be painting glue onto these things, or this adhesive anyway. I want to do it to keep it as thin as possible and not have like a lot of brush strokes, if I can avoid that. So that's my goal here. It's just to make it really smooth and pretty. But yeah, we're less than a week from Katsucon now. We are how many days out? I'm leaving my house to go to the convention next Wednesday. So there won't be a Wednesday stream, I can tell you that right now, because I'm going to be either on a plane or in Washington, D.C., or that general area. So there won't be a Wednesday stream, sorry about it. But there will be lots and lots of photos and posts and about everything happening at Katsucon that weekend, and so I think it's going to be really good and fun. I don't want this glue to build up too much in the corners, so I'm trying to spread it around just because these are the slots for the gems, and I want to make sure that they don't have any extra crap in them so that the gems will sit down really nicely. But yeah, I don't think gold leafing is too hard. I just haven't done it before, and so there's always room to make mistakes and not know what's going on when you haven't used a material before, but hopefully our little sample test piece will allow us to make it all good. Yeah, I'm really excited about finishing this whole costume. I'm getting really, really close on all the parts. The belt is all but done. It just needs these two pieces to be attached to it and make sure that it gets rigged. So that one is like another thing I'm almost ready to cross off my list. I just posted photos of the bag, which you probably saw that if you saw the stream announcement for today. But last night I finished not painting, but sewing the bag together, the bag that hangs out on her belt. And I was really happy with how it came out. I thought it looked really cool. So as you'll notice, I prepared all of these little items by putting them on sticks so that I could easily work with them without touching the item itself and not putting my finger on this adhesive or anything else. So this is attached to, this one's just a popsicle stick. Army of Ancients, thank you so much for subscribing. Yeah, these are just on sticks so that I can easily handle them without messing anything up. Alright, I think that's probably pretty good. I don't see a lot of visible brush strokes in this. There's a little bit over here. So it seems to be like settling and like kind of self-leveling a little bit after you brush it on, which is really nice. But I think that having thin coats and being really gentle with it is helping. Alright, this one's ready to chill out and wait for it to become tacky. So apparently, according to these instructions here, I'm going to need to wait for these items to become tacky before I can put the actual gold leaf on them. And I'm not 100% certain how long that will take. It says 20 to 40 minutes for this particular adhesive. So I'm going to get through these and then maybe we'll look at this again. This one also needs to be done on both sides. This is the belt like tab thing that hangs from the end of the belt. And so this needs to be done on all sides and trying to get in and around all of that little area. So we'll see how that goes. I guess I could put adhesive on both sides and then just like stick it in a cup so that it won't touch anything. I decided, Katrina Face is asking me, how did I deal with the dimensions of the bag? Because I had made a tweet kind of pointing out how the reference photo for this bag that I made looks different in different versions of the costume. Like in the winter version, it looks like it's taller and skinnier. And then in the regular version, it looks like it's exactly the same bag, but it's wider and fatter and shorter. And so I wasn't sure what approach I was going to do with it because I was like looking at these reference images like, what's the truth? And I eventually decided to go with the more regular, or like the use reference images from her normal outfit because that one has a lot more reference images. And like I said, if I think it's the same bag, then just because my one reference image of the winter version maybe looks wonky, that doesn't mean that that's the true proportions of the bag. So my final decision was to make it based on the more consistent references, or like the more common references, which is the one of her in that normal outfit. Oh, I also glimpsed in like almost a few scant frames of animation of her like turning around. You can see the bag a little bit more clearly, or you can at least like get a little bit more sense of the shape in 3D, and it does look shorter and wider like the other bag, so, or like the one in her normal outfit. So that was my final decision based on all of those factors. But yes, I did actually technically get confirmation that it's just kind of a wonky perspective, and it is supposed to be the shorter, wider version of the bag. So I know I'm missing stuff going on in the chat probably right now. I'll check back in with you guys periodically. I'm just kind of focused on this and trying to make sure that I'm keeping it smooth and making it look good. So my apologies if I missed something. Hopefully I'll be able to take a little break here while I'm waiting for the glue to get tacky, and then I can catch up on questions and stuff. But for right now, I just have Katsucon on the brain. There's a lot of stuff to do still, but I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot in terms of like being able to finish all of the things I have set up. Nothing is like not started or not, almost everything is almost done, I guess is a better way of saying it. Is that all of the pieces of this costume are 80 or 90%, and it's just a matter of getting it to that last 100%. So there's no single part of this costume that will have to be sacrificed at this point. Everything is good to go, or good to be finished. So I'm really excited about that. I'm trying to make sure I go all the way around the edges. Not on the back side, because the back side will be like glued down to leather. But just making sure that I'm getting all sides. Hey, there's a notification. Army of Ancients bought the Bag Making Bible, which is a book. Not truly a Bible. It's a book about bag making. Thank you so much, Army of Ancients. I was working on the little bag that I just finished yesterday, and I think it turned out fine, but it definitely was like eye-opening for me how much goes into bags and making them good, and so I was like, I should do some more research on this topic, and I would love to just get better at everything, always. So it seemed like a really good resource. So thank you so much, Army of Ancients. That is going to help make my bags better. Bags are interesting because they're like straightforward. Like you can sit down and just like determine all the pattern pieces like entirely flat just based on measurements and like visualizing it in your brain. But at the same time, they are very complicated and they have to be very precise. And there's a lot of room for like weird things to happen with how the pieces fit together just because it has to be done a certain way. And I'm still learning how to do all of those things. But they are very interesting to make. And hopefully I'll just keep getting better. Yeah. It's been kind of a weird week for me. I would normally just be so focused on only Katsu Crunch and nothing else. Hey, Pro Jared just subscribed! Thanks, Pro Jared. But yeah, I've just had some real life distractions, and I'm really hoping that doesn't set me back on anything. But I think that I'm ready to get back on track because looking at all this and how well it's coming together has been really encouraging. And I'm so close, so I'm just gonna put in that final push, and I think everything will be fine. But yeah. Who's Pro Jared? Yeah, seriously. Thanks, Lady D-Cat, saying they saw the bag on Twitter. I'm glad that you liked it. Yeah, the bag was really satisfying to make. And seeing it come together. And I was nervous about it too, because when I started, I was doing a couple different things that ended up not being the best choices. Like, as far as my approach to, like, doing the pocket flaps and the way that I was originally going to have the pockets connect to the bag. And so I, like, ran into a couple, like, issues that I needed to figure out how to solve. And I did that all last night as I sat down to stitch it. And so that was very satisfying, is when you have moments like that where a problem arises and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. And then you just sit down and figure it out. So that happens to me all the time. It might seem... Well, probably not in these streams because I'm just like, I've never done this before, let's do it. But maybe from following me elsewhere, it might sometimes seem like I just always know what's going on or I'm always ready to do it. That is not the case. I, too, am constantly finding myself facing new situations where I need to find a solution that I don't already know about, and then so yeah, there's a lot of experimentation and just like trial and error involved, even for me, always, even at this stage in me doing this. I'm almost done, and it looks like as it kind of dries a little bit, it starts to be less obvious that it's on there, like it looks very smooth. So it might look like I'm painting something that just disappears, because it kind of does. But this is all glue. This is all adhesive, adhesive size, from this Mona Lisa Speedball kit, which you can get on Amazon. Hey, Katrina Face, thank you for subscribing. You guys are good to me. Thanks for cheering me up. Oh, Tiny Bear says, it mesmerizes me how smooth you were able to keep the sculpted clasp. Well, I did sculpt that on stream, and I think you were here for part of that. it wasn't quite as seamless of a process as all that. Like, I did it in several steps, several stages, so that it could cure and then I could build off of what I had made. And on top of that, like, I did a lot of sanding to it. So yes, my goal was to keep it as smooth as possible during the sculpting phase, because that always helps, just to start with as smooth of a thing as you can. But I also was understanding of my own limitations with that material in that state. So I waited for it to cure and then sanded it perfectly smooth, because then I had more control. Gallifrey, thank you so much for subscribing. Now you can tap Katrina. Fallen Angel Cosplay says, I just got in. What's the white liquid? It is adhesive size. So basically I'm painting like a special kind of glue all over all of this. And then it's going to, I'm going to glue more or less the gold leaf onto it. Or yeah, that's basically how it works. And as I continue to like, it probably just looks like I'm painting over the same spots, but I am like smoothing out weird little wet bumps and stuff so that it stays as smooth and consistent and even on the surface as I can manage. I think that one is pretty good now. So our last one needs to be painted on both sides, and it needs to be painted on the interior, painted with sizing, adhesive size. My mouse is perilously close to the paint. All right, I'll move the mouse, although I think it's fine. Thank you, though. So yeah, I'm gonna do that on both sides of this, and then I will set it in a cup and let it hang out. So that nothing touches it while it's kind of settling and drying, or reaching that tacky stage. Last night, Jared was hanging out with me, and we were just chilling in my craft room, and we watched two different things. We watched all of Neo Yokio, the anime, which is one of my favorites. I've been waiting to show him, and then he showed me the Atlantis movie that I never saw as a kid, that I thought was actually really, really good. So those kinds of things have been on my mind. I really love Neo Yokio, and I would love to cosplay from that, although the costumes aren't really like the type of costumes, like, it's not like Zelda where it's like, oh, there's a lot of crafting that's gonna go into that and I'm gonna make it look real nice. No, like, it's just like street clothes and like weird things, but I would love to just wear it because I think the show is so funny. It's right up my alley in terms of like humor and weirdness. The Disney Atlantis, yes. Andy Hannah-Jones is like, if you do both sides, you won't be able to lay it flat to do the gold. I don't need to lay it flat to do the gold, I don't think. I just need to hold it in my hand to do the gold. So that's my reasoning for that approach. Is that it being on the stick is the way I'm going to handle and hold it throughout the whole process. I'm not going to set it down at any point on either one of the sides until it's done. So yeah, that shouldn't matter too much. I'm just going back and painting this interior ridge and making sure that it's not creating buildup on the outside surface, because as you get into like the sides, it kind of spills over a little bit onto the top. And so I'm kind of like brushing over the surface again to smooth that out and make sure everything is really nice and clean. Yeah, hey, this is actually smooth as hell. I thought this was gonna be really frustrating because I would end up with a lot of like weird bumps and lumps and texture, but hopefully it's not too early for me to be celebrating and I can get a nice smooth texture in the end. Katrina Face had a crush on the Mechanic Girl and Alice of Carol had a crush on Milo. Yeah, I approve of both of those. Hannah says that she'll need both hands. I haven't done this before, so maybe I should just take your advice and do it one at a time. But my plan was to lay it down and then use a brush to smooth it out, because that's what I've seen other people do. So yeah, I was just planning on doing all of that without setting it down. I'm a little bit worried about doing it in multiple parts, like doing one half of it and then flipping it over and doing the other half, because I don't know if that would make the seam, like around the edges, really weird. And I've already tried my best to keep it smooth. So, at the very least, I'm going to do these sides first. Maybe I should experiment with one of my other pieces before I make my final decision on whether I hit the backside with glue or not right now. Titan AU, seriously overlooked. Yeah, I watched that one for the first time recently, and I loved it too. That movie really spoke to me, and I was like, wow, this is a shame that I never saw this as a kid, because it would have been, like, probably my favorite ever. But there's, like, just enough PG content in it that I'm sure my mom would have probably not wanted me to see it. That's probably why I never saw it as a kid. Because there's a moment where the girl's like, are you coming in, while she's changing, and just like really non-explicit sexual themes. But I'm sure it would have been too much for me at that age, according to my mom, for sure. Hey Millman, thank you so much. Back in the day where PG meant something. Yeah, I feel like PG is just like normal for kids movies too. I don't know. Is this the side that I did? Okay, this is the side that I did. I'm now on the back side, and I just started painting on it because, again, it had like a little bit of the bleed over from doing the side. So yeah, I think at this point I have to go ahead and do both sides because I'm committed now. But I can balance it. I will figure out a way to rig this so that it is stable while I am applying the gold leaf. I guess that's just the best way of saying that. I will find a solution and handle it when I need to. I'm going to start probably on the inside here this time so that, again, as I clean it up, I don't have to go over the top like a lot of times. Yep, I'm just super excited to wear this at Katsucon finally. I've got a number of people that I plan to get photos with, both in terms of like photographers that I know and also just other cosplayers that I know will be there wearing Legend of Zelda stuff. So there's a bunch of different people that I've been like, hey, let's meet up, we need a selfie, we need something. And I'm really looking forward to going there and seeing all of their costumes and kind of nerding out a little bit. I think I was talking about this last stream, but basically like going to the event and sitting and chatting with other cosplayers or like approaching people because you really love their costume or whatever and getting to talk about it. That's like my favorite part of conventions, and That's the thing I just enjoy doing the most, is just nerding out with other craftspeople and being like, oh my god, how did you make that? Oh, it looks so perfect, or whatever, and just kind of like exchanging tips and knowledge and getting a window on how other people do things. And so I'm continually like drawing from my knowledge, the knowledge of my friends and the things that I see them doing. That just continually inspires me. And new people too. It's not just people I know, obviously. And so a convention is a place where all of those things come together and you can just chat with strangers about it, and it's exciting. Alright, so this has been coated on both sides now. Well, both front and back, and all around the edges. So, oh, hey, Sarah's here. Hi, I can't wait to see you. Yeah, sorry I've been like buried in my work and not looking at my chat. Soriro Days, I am so excited to see you and shoot with you and see your costume, so it's going to be super fun. Alright, I think I'm going to take a moment to rinse out my brush because I don't want this glue to dry in it. So I'm going to step off camera, but I will be back in like a minute, and then we're going to check and see if this stuff is ready to start working on. But yeah, I will be right back. Alright, I have returned. I am back. What kind of glue is it? It is the adhesive size that came with this gold leaf kit. That's what I've been using. So that is what we've got going on here. So I'm resuming reading my directions here. I've got all of my adhesive painted on. Then it says, apply metal leaf, press metal leaf onto the adhesive and rub down with a soft cloth or brush. Rub very lightly over the area again to make sure the leaf is well adhered. Dust away excess with soft brush or velvet cloth. So I have these nicer brushes, and these are the ones from Noonkin, so thanks again. I'm going to use these to apply the actual gold leaf. I didn't want to use them to apply the glue because I didn't want them to get all sticky and gross, because they're nicer. So now we're switching to the better brush. Tiny Bear is asking would I make a tutorial on how to do the tail with a wooden snake base. Yeah, no one else has done that, you're right, because I made it up. As far as I know, like I didn't, oh, I'm already ripping this apart. I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, I did kind of, oh, I can just take it in my hand now. Am I supposed to keep it attached to this like plastic, or how does that work? Now I'm just getting distracted by working. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, I made that up and nobody else has ever done it. I can eventually do a tutorial. I just can't focus on that right now. I would love to help you learn how to do that if that's what you want to know. Well, that's not so bad. It wrinkles up a little bit, but that's like part of the texture of it, and that will match the gold on my other one. Oh, this is actually easy to work with. Okay. And it just flakes apart. And you just brush it on and brush it down and make sure all the edges are good. Oh, that's actually great. How's it doing up here? Alright, well, there it is. That wasn't that hard. Okay, am I supposed to... Let's see. Okay, yeah, they are just like individual sheets. They are not attached to this plastic. That's just the top sheet. It's like a cover. So interesting. I wonder if I'm... Because, yeah, it is, like, flaking apart when I touch it, and I don't want to do that. Do I keep it in the book? How does this work, guys? Do I press it down from this side with the whole book on it? Ah! I'm checking in on the chat. If anybody knows what's going on, tell me. You're living for the gold leaf already, says Sarah. I'm glad. I'm living for it too. You static from a brush. And gently lift it off. Alright, I don't know how to try that. Because, yeah, I can see that this is, like, it's just so incredibly delicate. I can't really handle it or peel it without just moving the whole thing around. This whole piece is still together and, like, solid enough that I can use it on either one of these other pieces. I mean, part of me just wants to, like, lay it over the Triforce and just, like, slap it down, which is... Maybe I should refine my approach slightly, but, I mean, I don't know. It seems like it would work. Do I have a big, soft brush? No, not of the size that would be, like, larger than this, this piece. How does it react to this? Just being lifted by the brush. Yeah, handling these sheets so far is the only difficult part of this. I'm like peeling it off. Okay, I'm ripping it, but it's a controlled rip. And I am apparently able to separate this piece. Okay, cool. Well, let's see how this goes. Whoop. That worked. Alright. I'm starting at the top now, kind of in the detailed impressions to make sure that this gets into the nooks and crannies first. The interior of these little Triforce cutouts isn't really important in terms of it being gold. I just want it to all be smooth over the surface. Maybe the question. Do I have a makeup brush I don't care about? Those are good for gold leaf. Not on hand at this moment, but that's really good to know. And that's something I will look into before I do this project again. So it does kind of create a slightly wrinkled texture in areas because when you're wrapping it over a 3D object and it's a flat piece, you have to like account for the fact that it's like folding around the curves and things like that. But that's kind of a part of the aesthetic of it. There is like a little gap here that didn't, I don't know if it didn't get adhesive on it or if it didn't, if maybe the gold leaf just tore. I'm going to try to apply a little bit over the crack and see if I can, but that was also part of my motivation for doing the gold base coat. I'm sure a lot of people looked at my gold spray painted stuff and were like, well, this is fine, why don't you just keep it as is? Or maybe it seemed like overkill to do both, but the gold base coat is in order to make sure that any cracks that show through are also gold. And this gold leaf that I'm adding to the surface is a much superior shine and texture to the gold spray paint. I know it looked really good under this bright lighting of the stream, or at least it looked much shinier under this bright stream lighting when I was showing off these pieces, but there's a significant difference there in the shine and the finish of the two materials. So I am living for this gold leaf right now. It's just designed to match the gold leaf that's everywhere else in my project. Okay, now I can tear this away and not worry too much about it. I want to make sure that I got all my edges, so I'm gonna revisit those with a brush. And yeah, there's a couple sparse areas up here. So I think I will apply a little bit more adhesive to these areas and then start experimenting with making sure that everything's nice and covered as much as possible, but I don't want to put sticky adhesive back onto my pretty shiny finish. So I'm gonna have to be delicate about it. Dude, this looks so sweet. This looks so sick. I love it so much. Hiding the crimes before they happen, yep. What was the working time for that adhesive? It said it would get tacky within 20 to 40 minutes. I didn't really test the tackiness before I started applying this gold leaf, but it certainly is working and holding it, so cool. Kind of gonna scrape it off the edges. What time is it? It's 3:33, so actually it had probably been close to 20 minutes by the time I laid the gold leaf down on top of it. Because I started my stream right at 3. So I'm just going to go over the areas multiple times with this brush to make sure everything is as flat as it's going to be. Yes! Yes! Alright, on to the next one. Yeah, there we go. There's the difference between the gold leaf here and this. If you lay the adhesive on thinner like Heidi did, it gets tacky a bit faster. That's useful to know. I'm glad that I did it that way then. Because yeah, I can imagine that it would be harder to work with if it was really thick and kind of building up. It would just take more time to kind of dry. So I'm going to let that one chill for a little bit, and I'm going to work on this next one. And I think I'm going to try to use a fresh sheet so that I can get it all in one go. This might be useful for another piece. I'm making a mess. I haven't, like I said, I haven't done this before, so I am just kind of figuring out how to use these materials as I go. But, you know, thanks for being patient with me. Seems like it's working. Pitchfork Cosplay says, ever since Harrison did the Elder Scroll, I was a fan. Yeah, I saw him doing this, and I also, my friend Holly did this on one of my previous streams. She came and visited me, and we were streaming together, and that was quite some time ago. But she was working on something that she added gold leaf to, and I just thought it was a really neat approach. Alright, time for this belt buckle. Also, just because I haven't given her a shout out in this stream, but all of these things, oh yeah, beautiful. Okay, this one lifts up. The last one was just stuck to the plastic film that was like the cover for the whole package. That's why it was so difficult. But this one just lifted up really easily and I was able to mess with it. So let's go. So let's start unveiling what's under here. I'm going to try to hit the high points first before I start kind of crushing it into the lower points. Well, there it is. It like pops and kind of breaks. So I'm going to revisit those recesses, I guess you would call them. And make sure everything is nicely covered as well as possible. So yeah, I've wanted to try gold leafing something for a while, but I haven't had the right opportunity where I thought it was a good project for it. I would love to go back and gold leaf the things on my Twilight Princess Zelda costume though, because I think that would look sick in an awesome way. Yeah, and Harrison also suggested me using it on leather, which I have not tried yet, but if it's flexible enough, then theoretically it would work. So that's something that I want to do eventually, but I have not done that yet. There we go. So now I'm just popping it in. And yeah, it is kind of like, I don't know how well you guys can see all of this, but it's like breaking apart as it gets lowered down. Boop. And so it is creating a crackly surface. I'm going to see how what I can do to work with that here in a little bit. I'm sure it'll be fine. I just have to maybe put another piece down or figure out how to fill in the gaps. But I know it's possible. I can like hear it pop, or I can hear it pop anyway. I don't know if it picks up on the microphone, but like as you press it down into those smaller sections, it just like snaps. This brush that I'm using is very nice and soft. I also want to use these for the sealer. These are the horsehair brushes from my wish list. And I picked them out because these brushes are very, very soft and will hopefully allow me to get to put the sealer onto this project without a lot of brush strokes and gross weirdness. So I think I'm going to need to just treat these lower areas again with the adhesive and then just do it again and focus on folding the foil down into the crevices rather than, because I got the high points and those look great and those needed to be smooth as possible, but it's created like a crinkly effect. I'm going to lift this up pretty close. There you go. There you can see it. All of the cracks from where the gold leaf broke as I lowered it into those sections. Let me see what's here. You can hear the faint sound, or some people can. You should be able to apply some scraps over the gaps and work them in. Cool, that's what I will try. What type of size is used on leather has a potential use case for myself? I don't know. I mean, I would probably just start with this kit and I would just do some tests before I put it onto my finished piece, obviously. But just make like a scrap leather something, or just take a scrap of leather and put a little bit of texture onto it to kind of imitate the effect of what the tooled piece looks like, and then just lay it down on top. So I would just go about it with the same kit, or at least I would start with the same kit and see if it works, and if it doesn't work, then I would start looking into other sizing options. Alright, well I guess I'll just break all these little pieces apart. Because a lot of this is just trash. I'm not going to be able to reuse all of the little shreds of this, although that one didn't get completely destroyed. It's going to be like kind of wrinkly and stuff and filling in these gaps, but again, it's like the desired texture. Yeah, I'm just gonna not try to save every little piece of this, but I have plenty here to work with and more sheets and stuff. So I'm just gonna make that easier on myself. Yeah, you can't overlap more layers in there. Cool, well then that will be all I need. And yeah, the crinkly surface is just like the general effect that this has, because you're wrapping a three-dimensional surface in a two-dimensional sheet, and it has to fold in order to work its way around the shapes. So that's what happens, and that's fine. And it is a part of the desired effect. And honestly, it was kind of nice because even though I did spend some time cleaning up these prints and sanding them and painting them and make sure they were like primed and ready to go, I didn't like wet sand them down to like the highest amount of smoothness and try to get every single little speck of texture off of it to make it as smooth as possible. Like, yeah, I wanted it to be smooth, but I also knew that this gold leafing process was going to eliminate some of that because it just creates a textured surface. So I was able to kind of like not spend as much time on those prep steps as compared to if I were just going to paint the surface and leave it at that. I would want it to be as smooth as possible. So this gold leaf was a really good way of kind of keeping me from going overboard on the area first. But yeah, I think that looks pretty cool, even with that crackly texture, and I will fill that in, so it'll all be as smooth as possible. But I want to move on to my third piece because it's been sitting there getting ready with the adhesive on it. And it seems like I am going to be able to do this just holding it, so I'm going to do it that way. Knowing now that it's just going to fold and create surfaces, I'm not going to get that whole piece on. I'm not going to do a complete... Oh, should I? Whatever, I'm slapping this down. Yeah, it doesn't like to be moved. It will crinkle. Probably could have done this smoother in one sheet, but whatever. Oh no, it's doing great as I mush it down and kind of get rid of the folds. Because I don't want it to have like weird seams because I didn't do this one with a fresh sheet, but I think it will be okay. It's got wrapped all the way around to the back, and I'm just going to smooth it down and go with it. But yeah, this doesn't need very much more than a very soft touch. It's not really about like applying pressure to it or anything like that. You just kind of gently touch it. So holding it on this paint stick is not a problem after all, which is cool. Makes it easier. And it makes me able to easily manipulate the piece and see it from a lot of different sides. I'm not gonna peel that off, but I'm not gonna keep mushing that one down. I want it to be a little bit smoother than that. But yeah, I'm not gonna sweat it. You know, if it gets weirdly folded or has little creases in it, that's part of the look. And I do think it's gonna match the leather and the spandex that I used, that both have this type of surface to it. So that was the point. That was what I wanted, and it's working. Cool! You can really see the difference there between what is gold leafed and what is gold paint. Would he then be a golden boy? Yes, always a golden boy. Everyone's saying slap it on with abandon. I've been trying too hard. Have I been a try hard? Alright. It's good to go slowly and figure out your limitations, but yeah, I'm just gonna slap it on too. Or I will lay it down carefully, but with the knowledge that the wrinkles don't affect me. I accept them into my life and I move past them and with them. I think that's a good attitude to have, right? I try anyway. I'm gonna scrape off the areas that are just like wrinkled junk, but otherwise I am embracing the texture. And going back over it with the brush multiple times does kind of cause it to break cleanly at the edges, which is nice. It's what I want. So it's very gentle motion and not like something that requires a lot of precision or effort from me, which I also like. And I think this is a really nice effect. Just given the style of the rest of the costume and kind of the approach that I've done with it and the the shininess of the finish of the other pieces, I felt like making this as shiny as possible was what I wanted. So I just put this piece overlapping, and so now I'm pressing it down in areas that both do and do not have glue. And so I'm just gonna wait and let it break off from the areas that don't have glue. This is honestly really satisfying to do. Because it doesn't require too much, like, skill, just a gentle touch. A little bit of effort, paying attention. But the results are so satisfying. So I'm kind of, like, pushing the bristles against it, and it, like, kind of just breaks off. But it's a very gentle motion. You don't ever want to abuse your paintbrushes by, like, working them backwards. But it's just a very, very gentle touch. I'm not scrubbing it. Trying to get down into the edges as well. Alright, now we gotta do the back. But first I'm gonna grab a piece of leather to compare this to. What have we got? So these are the gold foil pieces, and this is the gold foil leather, which is also kind of wrinkly. And wow, that looks awesome. I shouldn't be pressing that against the... That looks super awesome! And yeah, that matches. This is also the gold spandex. I had to switch to gold spandex for some of the details on the bag because I ran out of leather. But that's lovely. That's what I wanted. That's what I needed this to look like. A guided meditation with Heidi O'Farrell. Yes, indeed. So is gold leaf possible to use on fabrics, or is it just a good idea to use on more solid objects? Asks Purple Alzir. I have seen gold leafing kits designed for use on fabric at fabric stores. This is not one of them, so I would imagine that it would use like a different adhesive or sealer or something, and maybe like a slightly different process. So maybe not doing exactly what I'm doing on fabric, but I believe you can apply gold foil to fabric as well. So that is a possibility of something that exists out there. Lifting another sheet over here, or at least another shred of a sheet. Aha! Which I'm losing because I'm trying to balance it on my little brush like an asshole. I'm just ripping it apart now. Alright, oops. There are no oops, there's only I accept this and let's move forward. Whatever, I try, guys. You know it. You know I try. But I'm also just at the point where it's like, alright. Whatever happens, happens. We're gonna work with it. We're gonna fix it. That's fine. Seems like there's like an air pocket under there, and I certainly don't like that. Is that okay? It's just a double layer where it didn't have adhesive. Beautiful. So that was like a wrinkle. So part of what I'm doing is just moving the brush in different directions in order to make it crumple off of areas where there's too much. But it's so neat. Thank you guys for coming to my meditative stream today. So yeah, I'll do multiple passes on this to make sure everything is really nice and secure before I do like a full on second run filling the gaps. So that way everything is very methodical. But yeah, it just kind of crumbles away from the areas where it's not adhered, which is perfect. It's actually very easy to work with. There we go, I managed to lay one down nicely again. What's everybody else up to today, by the way? Oh, hi, Cynical Prophet, someone new here. What else have I missed? Probably some puns. Checking in on here. Tearful Neko, welcome. Glad you could check it out. Thanks. Yeah, Gold Leaf has been going super well so far. Oh, and Disa Cutie is also new here. Welcome. I am just painting gold. Well, it's gold leaf. It's not actual paint. But it has an adhesive all over the surface, so as you press it down, it just adheres where the adhesive is exposed, and then it crumples off everywhere else. And yeah, this is very, very almost seamless. It just kind of contributes to the same like texturized, wrinkly kind of look. But the seams are not an issue, so it's just a part of the surface texture. I'm gonna let it crumble naturally. I'm not gonna pull on it with my hands because I think I just missed a spot by pulling it up. Well, this has been a nice learning process for me too. And yeah, I think that this is definitely something that's gonna make its way onto my other costumes because, God, I just love shiny stuff. I always try to make my stuff as metallic and shiny and pretty as possible. And I really gravitate to like metallic fabrics, metallic finishes, metallic paints. I just get really excited by all that stuff. So I think that my shiny costumes will probably definitely include this stuff in the future, and I'll get better at doing it too. Strange Cup of Tea says they're sewing catnip toys for an upcoming vendor event for the Animal Defense League. That sounds really, really cool. Yeah, we bought Aries a catnip toy that one of my friends made years ago at a convention, and he loved it. It was his favorite toy for so many years. And now that we live here, He lost it somewhere in this house. I know that it's here. Maybe by the time we move again, we'll unearth it. But yeah, it was a little bombchu actually from Zelda, which is why we bought it, because it like looks like a mouse, but it's also a Zelda thing. And so we're just like, here you go, Aries, here's your nerd toy. And he loved it. And he has other like mice toys, but he didn't love any of them as much as he loved bombchu. So I feel kind of bad that we can't find it. We've searched the house up and down, but bombchu has never been seen again. Surely the next move will reveal his true whereabouts. I'm just gonna hold this over the trash can and kind of brush extra pieces away or down. So I need to start letting it break off for me to be able to go back with a second layer. So, okay, sorry, I'm back over under the camera, rather. But yeah, I'm just continuing to rub it down and crumble away the extra bits, because I don't want anything to become trapped under a second layer, or like fill in the gaps really. I'm not trying to do a total second layer over everything, but I want to add adhesive down to any areas that need it and place new sheets on as cleanly as possible. So I want all of this crumble to be out of my way as much as possible before I start doing that. It might be slightly tacky still. Here's a somewhat larger piece. So yeah, at first I was trying really hard to keep the sheets together. I still want to do my best to keep the sheets together and apply them in larger pieces, because I do think it looks a little nicer when you can do it that way. But realistically, you can just pick up these scraps and just keep laying them down and laying them over each other and filling in all the little weird nooks and crannies with them. So that will happen next here, but you know, I'm not sweating it that I've got a lot of little pieces down here. Oh, that works. Is that what you guys were talking about with static from the brush? Because I think I finally nailed it. And then I put it on like sideways. There we go. Get rid of the crumble. All right. Everyone's talking about their own projects here. That's exciting. People making stuff, making deals, making pillows, I guess. Yeah, this piece is mostly done. So these little, the sticks that I'm using to hold everything is just using double-sided tape between these. And so there's double-sided tape right here, and it got covered in gold foil. So like the masking tape under here that's holding this piece to the stick is also now covered in gold. But it's fine, it's doing its job. I mean, it'll just be slightly gilded when I take it off. Alright, I think this one is pretty much brushed to hell. Or mostly. There's still some texture on there that I'm going to have to work with. But I'm going to set this one back down in the cup so it's like sitting upright again. So it's not laying on anything. I'm going to add sealer or sealant to these. I'm going to seal it all before I like set them down and walk away. Yep, the bigger and softer the brush, the better, says Pitchfork Cosplay. Good to know. I will implement that on my next round with this stuff, but you know, I'm gonna keep going for now, of course. but that is something that I will learn. So I'm gonna see if this adhesive is still activated enough that I can just keep applying this. I think I'm gonna need some more adhesive because that didn't stick super well down to all of the nooks and crannies. So I'm gonna need to run back to the bathroom and grab my paintbrush that I washed and then left in there. I'm gonna use that same paintbrush to apply the glue. And I'm also gonna clean up the scraps from my table real fast before I start adding glue to things because I don't want them to just get covered in crap. And the little crumbles of all of it. Oh no, it's starting to come off my stick. I accidentally put too much pressure on it. Alright, yeah, I think that's, that one, it's not accepting any more foil at this moment, so. Question for people who have done this before, can I just lay the adhesive right down on top of everything else? Well, I'm sure I can, because it'll just look seamless in the end too. Okay, yeah, I just need to be careful about covering all the adhesive, I think. Alright, but yeah, that looks sick. This looks sick. They all look sick. This piece of scrap junk looks awesome. Alright. I'm gonna get a fresh paper towel that isn't covered in gold poop. It's good to know that others like to watch streams while they work on their own projects too. Yeah, totally. Especially these kinds of creative streams. I think that when I'm watching my friends do this kind of stuff, when they're streaming, I'm usually just chilling and working on whatever if I don't feel like being on camera. And I feel like in a lot of our previous streams, everyone's always like sharing their projects or their artwork, or they're sitting there drawing or doing their homework or whatever, and that's awesome. Oh, sick. All right, and Sleepy Stitches is embroidering while streaming, or watching the stream, so that's fun. That's awesome. I've done some embroidery, but mostly just really basic stuff. I would love to get more into that and learn a little bit more about it, but one thing at a time. Today it's gold leaf. All right, I will step out to grab my other paintbrush that I just washed, and then I'll be right back. I'm back. Katrina Face says these look so good. Well, thank you. I'm glad you think so. I'm excited about how they look. That is just fun. That's so fun. Whew. All right. Cynical Prophet says the stream has been really interesting. Who are some others that stream similar projects? Another girl who's also working on a Zelda costume right now is called Marida. It's Maridah, and she's been doing some streams that are similar to this where she's sitting and sewing. My friend Melinda they've been doing artist streams on Facebook, not Twitch, but those are fun because they get into like leatherwork and stuff. My friend Ashley does 3D modeling streams. My friend Patricia does embroidery streams. And all of those are people that I follow, so you can just like go through my follow list. I think that is a thing that you can look at. Sleepy Stitches says, once you learn the stitches, it's not hard at all. Just kind of time consuming. The biggest thing with embroidery is being consistent in your stitches. Yeah. I've done small amounts of hand embroidery on Twilight Princess Zelda. That was like probably the most that I've sat and done. And took longer than I thought it would. But yeah, consistency, you're definitely right about that. And just like trying to make the stitches as even as possible and look like a really deliberate thing and not just something messy. Oh, I got my green tea latte went down my throat in the wrong way, but I'm okay. Pink Thorn wants to start streaming? Go for it. Enjoy it. It's been really, really fun for me. And I had a lot of anxiety when I started streaming, and now I feel really comfortable in front of the camera, or at least comfortable enough. I feel like I have to try to be cool all the time. Alright. Time to put some more glue on these suckers. I am making sure that's nice and shook up. So now I'm going to be focusing on applying glue specifically to any areas that are showing through more than I want them to. And because I have that gold base coat, I don't have to worry about every tiny little millimeter of every bit of the surface being covered. Like, if it's got a few like cracks in it, it's not going to look like I missed a spot because it has the gold underneath. So it creates more texture rather than looking like it's created a mistake, which is great. Just cleaning that edge up a little bit. Sorry, I'm just doing this off to the side because I don't want to keep dumping extra little gold dust onto my work surface. I'm trying to have a clean work surface to add more. Alright, here we go. That one I feel confident in now. Okay, so back to my cheaper brush. This is like a little synthetic brush. So I'm just going to get it into gaps mostly. Gaps and cracks. I don't need to worry about these interior here. I think that the gold definitely wraps down around the edges as much as it needs to. So no worries there. It's mainly the cracks around the edge of the Triforce from where the piece broke rather than getting wrapped around the surface, around that edge. And then also the edge of the kind of medallion itself. So this one actually does not need very much in the way of an additional layer. Hey, Lady D-Cat just subscribed. Thank you so much. Welcome to our community, a little sub community. All right, I've got glue down where it needs to be. Oh my god, it looks so cool. All right, I'll stop freaking out about my own work like an asshole. Oh, but I'm cool all the time? That's not true. Oh, that was from Link Fan too. Okay, thank you so much, Link Fan. Yeah, it like shows the notification in the chat, but not on the screen or the other interface. So yes, thank you, Link Fan. Sorry, I sometimes miss when you gift subs to people, but you're great. All right, if I missed anybody's questions or anything, let me know. I can try to answer that stuff, but I'm gonna keep moving on and just try to get all these little gaps filled. So I'm allowing the glue to kind of be on the gold surface a little bit. I'm not trying to apply it to every little area, but I'll just try to cover everywhere that it does get applied. With more small bits. I also might use a smaller paintbrush to get into all these little nooks and crannies when I start pressing it down. It's a good song. These are my jams. Between this playlist and these streams, this is what's been like keeping me alive on my work progress. So yeah, this is just kind of a little meditative project for today. Hopefully you can see what all is going on. I'm not covering it up too much. And thanks to everyone here today who's been offering me advice on working with the gold leaf. I'm glad that this is something that other people have experience with. And as you can see here, like, this is something anyone can do. I bought this kit, well, actually Travelsome bought this kit, but I found the kit on Amazon for like $25. I'm sorry, no, it was for like $15. It was like not even, I'm pretty sure it was 15 or 20. But all you would need besides that is your paintbrush and whatever object you're trying to cover. And this is 25 sheets, and I've only got 3 small pieces, so like if you're curious about this and you're watching at home and you're like, oh, this is so cool, I could use it on such and such, whatever, like just go for it. Like this is so simple and self-inclusive as like a kit. It's really actually super cool. But yeah, anybody can do this. Whether you want to just decorate stuff around your house or make a costume. I got some on that top surface again, but oh well, I don't think it's gonna make a difference. Okay, I've got glue and down in most of those important areas. I'm gonna check out the sides again. Although I think I did a pretty good job on all these sides. There's not really any exposed corners or edges, at least not that matter. So there, that one can go and chill and sit for a while until it's ready. And this one, I need to break away some more of this gold leaf crumble. But yeah. If you want that Midas touch, just make everything gold. Alright, you can see what I'm doing over here. I'm not doing it over my table once again because I'm just trying to let the pieces fall and not become stuck to my other stuff over here. I wish I had maybe a slightly stiffer brush because I don't want to bend this one out of whack. I might save those for a little bit for my top coat. What do I got up here? Here we go. This one has stiffer bristles and an angle. So I'm going to see if that can help push into corners and maybe help break things off a little bit more cleanly. Because my other brush is just so soft that it's like pushing things around, but not causing that extra to totally crumble off like I wanted. So yeah, I can kind of use the bristles to push against it a little bit without hurting these bristles. Hey, what have we got here? Linkfan has gifted a sub to Kleegler. Thank you so much. Linkfan is so generous here, not only with me and like, you know, providing things from the wish list or just general tips, but also by providing subs to other people, and I think that's wonderful. So thank you, Linkfan, not only for the support you've shown me, but also just how kind and generous you've been to other people. I think that's great. And also, you know, thanks for more subs. And yeah, this paintbrush was a good choice. So it might help to have multiple options on hand when you're doing this, so you can kind of decide whether you need harder or softer bristles to work on various parts. When you're painting the adhesive on, and I'm assuming painting the sealer, although we haven't gotten there yet, you would want to use the softer brushes because you don't want to leave behind a lot of brush strokes. But when you're trying to crumble the little edges off and the little raised areas in the excess, I think a slightly stiffer brush like this one is working better because it has a little bit more leverage. Alright, now gluing areas that need it, which are going to be just all the little gaps. This one I'm going to add some more there. Trying to look in all the nooks and crannies. But yeah, this is actually a wonderful way to cover a print too, because like I said, I tried to get these prints as nice and clean as possible, but after a certain point I stopped myself and I was like, wait a second, this is still going to be covered in gold leaf. Like, at what point am I doing unnecessary work? And I would say that it would be unnecessary beyond like just getting that general smoothness. Because again, it's a textured surface. It's not a totally 100% pristine smooth surface that you can achieve with the gold leaf. So work with that and don't overwork yourself fighting the texture that will end up being inevitable anyway. Is my takeaway from that. Alright, I think I hit the points that needed it. I'm going to add a little bit more over here. Try to smooth it out and keep it thin, like one of our chat members suggested. I forget who said that. Alright, I feel pretty confident now that I've hit all of the areas that I think needed it. There's a little bit extra, but whatever. Alright, I feel good about that, guys. Oh, it's so sexual. I love it. Alright, I am going to rinse out my brush one more time because I don't want to wait on that. And so I'll be right back, and you can look at these while I'm gone. Hopefully they'll be ready to just start applying the leaf. And I mean, worst case scenario, I guess, is just that it doesn't stick. And I wait a little longer. I'm back, my friends. Tiny Bear is asking, Heidi, do you want us to leave you alone with your props? No, thank you. I'm doing fine. You're allowed to stay for now. Just kidding. That was probably because I made that sexual comment. Okay. So now, starting with this corner. I'm trying to lay it around the corner rather than laying it flat and then expecting it to cover everything. Yeah, that's working quite well. Nesgreth has subscribed. Thank you so much, Nesgreth. I'm so entranced by my own work today that I realize I haven't been as talkative as normal, but hopefully you guys are finding this somewhat interesting to watch. To me, it's just fun to watch the gold go on, like... Okay, that one's fine. And then crumble away. Yeah, I'm using the softer brush to push it down, and then I think the harder brush to help it crumble away. So it's about time for that switch. Although I'll make sure I've got it all the way around the edges. That was my last little piece of leaf that's sitting out, so I'm gonna have to rip a little bit more off of that sheet. But before that, I'm gonna crumble away the things that I don't need from this. So there we go, now there's a little bit more. It is incredibly delicate, but it doesn't require... Like, the pieces fall apart so easily, but again, like, you just don't have to do it perfectly. There's so much room. This is so forgiving, I guess, is what I should say. It's a good way to describe it. It's a very forgiving material, and that you can continue to correct, go over, fix. And yeah, it'll keep creating, you know, new texture as if you're just continuing to add it, I guess. But it's not like, oh no, I didn't do it perfectly and now the piece is ruined. That is not an issue with this, which is really, really nice. Hell yeah. And then after these pieces all get sealed, I can go ahead and put the gems in and they'll be pretty much done. Like, this is so close to the end. Whew. I'm so excited about that. The gems that I'm using for this are just little acrylic gems. They're nothing, they're like little pre-made little triangle rhinestones. I didn't make them myself. But that's fine. A lot of people do homemade gems, and I totally get that there are a lot of situations where you need a weird, specific shape, size, color, etc. For cosplay. But whenever it's like an oval or a circle or a triangle or something like that, I do generally try to purchase a gem because I think they look a little bit nicer. And I like using real... When I say real, I mean like this is creating a very, very thin, fine metallic surface on it, but it's like technically real metal. It's not real gold, at least not these sheets are. I think that they make them, but these are not. I don't think they are anyway. It says actual leaf, but it doesn't say actual gold. It says metal leaf on it. So I'm assuming that this is like some sort of alloy that's designed to look like gold and have that gold finish, but it's not literally gold as far as I'm aware. But it is metal, and that's why it looks so metallic, and that's why it's so effective. And so the same principle for me with gemstones is like, if I can find an actual like gemstone, not necessarily something that's like rare and valuable, but like little semi-precious stones that are like cheap. Well, depending on what kind you get, they can be cheap or they can be more expensive. But I like to use stuff like that to create that like real texture of it being a real gem or real metal or real whatever. And I think that that can go quite a ways in making your costume really pop. Because if you compare this, I wish I had a piece to compare back to the spray paint that I did, that I started with. Like, the spray paint looked fine, and even when I put it under these lights to show it at the beginning of the stream, like, it looked pretty shiny and good. And then you put the gold leaf on and you recognize the difference and how much better it could be. So for me anyway, that was what I wanted from these pieces. Anyway, I didn't use any fancy gems for this. I just bought little plastic acrylic gems, but they are like, you know, mass-produced, all the same size, shape, color, etc., and not something that I had to cast perfectly multiple times, put a foil backing on, etc. So there's just like less work involved for me and then more consistency in the results when I use the gems. Oh my god, I love this. I'm gonna put the gems in right now, not permanently, but just to set them there. Make sure they're fitting. Because the gold leaf does, you know, take up space. But yeah, that's gonna be fine. I don't want to put the little tiny one in the middle because it's harder to dig out. But I'm gonna show you the general aesthetic of this Triforce. Holy shit, that is pretty. Whee! Oh man, I'm so happy! Sorry, ooh, who am I missing here in the chat? Nilyu's here! Hi Nilyu, I'm so glad that you are here. I'm gonna scroll up and check my messages because I know I'm missing some questions and comments from you guys. I'm so sorry, but I've just been focused on my shit. Alice of Carol redoing mock-ups for blouse to get it right? Well, that can be frustrating, but usually worth it, so good luck with your work there. Be careful when top coating, the imitation can tarnish depending on the clear coat used, says Pitchfork Cosplay. I appreciate that. I'm going to be using the sealer that came with this kit. I'll use it on my test piece first just to check it, but I'm assuming that because it all came in the kit together, like, I would be pissed if it tarnished because this is designed for use together. So that's good to know, depending on the materials that you're using in your project, but I think mine will be fine. Under the light, is the metal a glowing tone or shiny? I don't know. I mean, it's definitely very, very shiny. It's not emitting light. Tham? Alice of Carol is Tham? Nice. Alright, well, I'm going to set this one aside. I still need to do sealant on this, but I'm gonna assembly line this stuff. First all the gold, then all the sealant. Dang, that is shiny and pretty. Okay, so here's another one ready to go. I'm going to use pieces of this one that was having trouble peeling off of this plastic. And it's okay if this breaks apart. Oh, I wonder if I can get it from this side. It's okay if it breaks apart some. Oh, that's nice. Okay. I don't want to use this whole sheet. I wonder if I can, like, cut it. Is this gonna be the worst idea ever? Let's find out how terrible of an idea this is. Whoa! Okay, that worked. Alright. I just wanted a smaller piece that I could control a little bit more easily. And I got it. And I'm gonna go even smaller, actually. It's nice to have, like, a clean piece that's little enough. Okay, I'm using my smaller brush now to work it down. And I'm trying to let it bend down now instead of trying to keep it on the high points where it's gonna break when it gets pushed farther. So that way it's working into the corners. Now I'm just putting my tiny crumbles into these little bitty cracks. I will use my stiffer brush to peel out the extra. I'm just trying to lay it all down. Dang, this is like so fun. Maybe it's not fun for you. Well, I don't know. I hope that it's fun for you to watch if you're all here, but yeah. Oh, cool. Alice of Carol's got it under control, working on the real thing. Well, I'm glad, Tham. I'm hoping you enjoy. I would say this has been, so far, extremely a success, because I can already imagine myself using this on lots of other projects. And yeah, it really does need quite small pieces to get into these little crevices. I think the smaller I start with, that pulled it apart, but that's fine. The smaller I start with, the easier it will be to cover it smoothly, I think. It's just going to take a little bit of work to get it into all the tiny areas. All right. Sundries and Moonlight says, I just got here, neat emblem. Well, thanks. This is the belt buckle that Zelda wears with the winter outfit from Breath of the Wild. So that's what is getting put together. Yeah, I'm struggling in some areas just because it's kind of still sticking to the higher parts, so it needs to be crumbled away, and then maybe I'll have even more tiny pieces to work into these little cracks. But I don't want to, you know, get too caught up in making it flawless when the texture is a part of the aesthetic. It's okay for it to be flaky. Yeah, at this point I do need just like a lot of tiny crumbles, I guess, which I threw them all away. Oops. But with the amount of like raised detail and the... Well, right now I'm really just trying to get to the lower sections, but the amount of like little crevices in this, you just can't use a full sheet. It needs to be these little crumbles. And if the base coat gold is still visible at the bottom, it's not a problem. It just honestly looks like more shadow and texture. Ooh, it's so fun. It looks like almost a mirrored surface. It's so shiny. Pinkthorn says, I'm debating making the tape from gold spandex. We have to figure out bias cutting, but it probably won't look as good. It actually looks just as good, in my opinion, or at least in my experience. I use spandex for like bias, well not bias, but like edge binding all the time. And as long as it's 4-way stretch, you don't need to worry about cutting on a bias or whatever because it can move in both directions already, which is great. And if you stretch it as you go, it's gonna look beautiful. So unless I'm misinterpreting what you're talking about, I would say go for it. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have a track list. What that song was, the one that just ended just now? I have to click back to find out. It was Mysterious Cooperin, and it was from DJ Cutman and Emily Davidson, who is his sister. And now it's gonna play again. All right, I'm gonna click back to the next song. Sorry, we just listened to that one, but I hope you liked it, and hopefully that was the correct song that I answered your question to. And this is all from my playlist on Spotify, which is DJ Cutman and Game Chops, which is his label. So a lot of artists that are connected that way is what we listen to here on the stream. So all of these gold crumbles, I'm not even gonna try to dig them out. I'm just gonna try to push them in towards the adhesive. I think I might be starting to get to the point where I need to add more adhesive just because this detail layer is taking longer. So we'll see about that. Oh, and I keep accidentally peeling this off of the stick it's attached to by setting it down too hard. Okay, it is still sticking some. Yeah, I think gold leaf is going to be my new wave. And the adhesive is still working because I was just able to get this piece in there really nice. Okay, so maybe I'm just being overly paranoid. This is filling the gaps quite nicely. So just got a little bit of that gold crumble to sprinkle around. And it is creating a more heavily textured area, but it's cool. It's gonna be fine. What time are we at? I've been streaming for, wow, longer than I thought. Well, I guess it's not that long. We're going on 2 hours now, which is not that bad. I just thought, oh, this will be a quick project for sure. And it has gone quickly, but it does require a little bit of care and attention. This is looking pretty dang good. There's still like some larger cracks that I'm gonna fill, and I will hit the rest of it with that gold crumble in the end, but I don't want to get overly invested in little tiny details. So part of me wants to always make everything as like perfect as I possibly can. I was learning a new skill recently, which was photo editing, and I'm still working on that for sure. But at one point I had asked Jared to come in and look at my photos and like kind of give me some feedback on what kind of effect that he liked or comparing or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was looking at it like, Jared, what do you think? Should I add to this? Is it finished? Blah, blah, blah. And his response was like, well, look, you could keep working on this for another couple of hours and make it, what, like 5% better? And that really struck me as like, oh yeah, most people in the world wouldn't even be able to notice or appreciate the difference between several more hours of work for me. And so while I certainly value like being as detailed as possible, being as accurate and precise as possible, those are all like good aspirations, you know, for my style and for what I'm doing for sure. If you do something differently, then that's also fine. But for me, like, this is what works. But it was really kind of also a moment of truth where I was like, wow, you're right. Like, my effort is not necessarily proportional to other people's ability to appreciate that effort. And so there is a point where you should just, like, step back, look at it, and say, okay, is my many more hours of work worth making this 5% better? And, you know, sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. And depending on your project and your situation and your goal, you know, make your decision accordingly. And so that was something that's been on my mind lately. "2 hours of placing gold, 2 hours of amazingness" is what people are saying. Well, I'm glad you think so. I don't think it's going to take a lot more, but it will take, you know, a little bit more. I'm wondering if my adhesive is still ready on my other piece, or if I need to reapply it, but I don't think it'll be too much of an issue. It doesn't really say anything in the instructions about the working time of the adhesive. It just says that it takes 20 to 40 minutes to activate and become tacky. So I would assume that means that I have at least 40 minutes of working time. Alright, I'm gonna let that one chill for a bit, and I'm gonna visit the last one. Within One Tiger says it's one of her favorite streams because it's been so satisfying. I agree. This has been very satisfying for me. I can move these out of the way while these guys are hanging out up here. It's like, it looks white under the light because it's so shiny and so reflective. Alright. Let's stop just making weird noises and yelling about how happy I am about this. I put adhesive down in the middle of this piece. Now I'm just softly pressing it around. At this piece, at this point, if the rest of this piece just becomes gold crumble, I'm not gonna be mad because I need more gold crumble. Although, if I can keep it together, I could use it on the other side. Let's see if I've already ruined that opportunity or not. Oh, okay. I made it. Where did I... Oh, over here, I'm sure. Alright, now we just brush and crumble. I have... Yeah, not all of this needed it either. Oh, well, almost none of it needed it. But there is definitely active adhesive on the sides here. I don't remember exactly where I put the adhesive all over this piece, but I think that we are at least good to go on our larger areas. Cool, now I've got lots of little tiny crumbly gold to put on my other piece. I wonder if I just like let it fall. Let's try that. Okay, definitely stuck in some areas where I needed it to. So that's good. So I'm kind of just like weirdly scraping at it with the bristles, but not like scraping with a lot of pressure, 'cause it's not hurting the bristles. It's very gentle kind of pressure, but okay, let's see if this sticks up top. If not, I'll need to apply more adhesive. Yeah, that's definitely sticking. So my adhesive is still active. Still tacky. Ugh, I'm sorry, I'm like looking at it so intently, I'm taking it away from the camera. Ugh, you guys know I'm terrible at streaming. But thanks for coming anyway. Tiny Bear says, they're such cute noises, and to be honest, it's really uplifting to see someone so happy with their project. That's how I've been feeling throughout all of this Zelda work, honestly. It's just like, I love doing this. I love seeing it come together. And I don't want to ever be like tooting my own horn like, oh, I'm so great, I'm so good. That's not really what's happening too, but just to be satisfied in your work is immensely fun. And I have been able to enjoy that with this project, so. It is hard to work when you're constantly screaming about how much you love it, though. I have been taking some screaming breaks, but they've been mostly under control. Now I kind of want to rub they said a soft cloth all over it. I'm wondering if that will help to crumble away anything more, a little bit more effectively than the leather, not the leather, the paintbrush. Okay, a paper towel isn't gonna destroy the finish though. I'm gonna see what a paper towel will do for just gently rubbing to scrape away or lift off any little crumbles that are not adhered. And that seems like it's doing fine. Yeah, that's actually great. Okay, well I didn't really have a soft cloth, but this paper towel is doing the job. Doesn't seem to be doing any damage. So I'm just rubbing over everything, because this has a little bit more force and surface area than the paintbrush. So it really does a good job of breaking away the parts that I don't want and just revealing the smoother surface. I'm using a very gentle touch with this though, and not like scrubbing at it with a lot of pressure because it doesn't take very much, and I'm not trying to do any sort of weird damage to the surface. Hey! Evil Crash has gifted a sub to Cherry D. That's so nice of you. So thank you guys both. Oh, I missed one. Linkfan is asking, I can't remember if you said this before, honestly, but what convinced you to stream, Heidi? Several of my friends convinced me to stream. Well, I just had conversations with a lot of people who were really, really into Twitch, like other streamers that Twitch has gone really well for them. And so within just like those talks, I was doing YouTube at the time, which my YouTube channel still exists, but I don't really update it in the same way that I used to. And I was getting really far behind, or I had kind of actually stopped updating YouTube because the editing of the videos is what was killing me and killing my productivity and my schedule. It was just taking me way too long to edit videos because I didn't have a lot of experience with it, and I wanted to make them good, and it was very stressful the way that it all piled up. And so I eventually was like, maybe this isn't worth my time and effort that I'm putting into it just to be on YouTube when it's taking so much from me to be making these videos. But I still wanted to interact with people, share what I'm doing in a video format, because that's what people really seem to respond to and request when it comes to like, oh, show me how you did that. And so I had just been hearing from a lot of friends how much they love Twitch Creative and what a great platform this was for interacting with people when you're doing creative projects. And I have been very happy with that. And that's definitely correct in my experience. So that was what convinced me, was just talking with other creators, and the fact that I can engage on this platform with you guys and not have to do tons and tons of like editing later, and like it takes away a lot of the video production that goes into other platforms. So that's what I needed. I needed something that was more immediate, like oh, here I'm actively working, I'm focused on the project, and the video just happens. So that's why I like Twitch. Let's see. A lens cloth might be better for this, says Pinkthorn. Soft cloth is good if you really want to polish some details up, like around your printed pieces. Agate stones are fantastic. Interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, I think this has definitely met my needs for this moment, but again, good to know. Thanks for all the extra tips and tricks about the gold leaf, because that is definitely helping me get my bearings with this stuff. There's a few more areas down the very interior that I kind of want to cover a little bit better. Let's see what needs to happen first. I know I just was like, oh, I'll dump all my little dust all over this one and it'll get in the nooks and crannies, but I think that it needs more adhesive for that to be effective. So, I need to brush it off. I'll use a softer brush for this. Yeah, hopefully this part will be wrapped up pretty soon. We're at 5 o'clock my time. The stream has been going for 2 hours. 2 hours of applying delicious gold. This looks like a chocolate bar or something that's covered in gold foil. That's in my mind anyway, what I'm thinking about. So I'm just kind of brushing this around and pushing it down everywhere and hoping to pull those crumbles out before I put any more adhesive. Then we'll seal it, and then that will be it for my stream today. But we have done so much, and this is going to be satisfying to cross off my to-do list. And it's just very satisfying to do in general, honestly. This has been a treat. This might be my last stream before KatsuCon, because like I mentioned, Wednesday I will be traveling. Wednesday is my travel day. Damn. Damn, son. Delicious gold. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if I'll do any bonus streams between now and Wednesday. The only other thing that I feel like is really potentially that I could potentially work on camera and like have it be a decent setup would be my wigs, because I have a couple different wigs to style, like pretty simple styling. So I don't know, I might turn that into a stream that would be like an extra stream, but no promises. This might be the last you see of me before I'm wearing all the costume together, but I'm gonna run and grab that paintbrush for the glue one last time. Do one last round of just the tiniest amount of like cleanup in the littlest nooks and crannies, and then these will be totally covered and we'll do the sealant and that'll be it. I'm back. Well, thanks Within One Tiger wishing me a good time at the con. I am sure that I'll have a good time. I always have a good time at Katsu. Because Katsu is where I get to see so many friends that I don't see any other time of the year. So I'm going to try to use this very sparingly. I don't want to just keep going over all this crap again. But into the smallest crannies is where it needs to be the most. I know that you can also get this glue or different adhesive sizing in like a spray form, but it says in the instructions that that is for, quote, textured surfaces. So I'm assuming that what that means is that the spray itself kind of adds a texture rather than this glue being able to be brushed on very, very thinly and not have much texture left over. So, depending on your project, something to consider is that the glue comes in other forms. Alright, that's definitely the important parts on that one. It's really just like this very, very small interior area that I want to be as nicely leafed as possible. Cool. Yay, yay, yay. Red Bard says they'd like to see a wig styling stream. I might. I have, like, again, it's mostly like really simple stuff. I'm not doing anything crazy elaborate. I'm not like a wig genius, but I can do wigs. Yeah, I can make it happen. Oh, I guess I didn't really wait for that to sit and get tacky. I should chill for a second. Can I set this down? I'm just gonna be safe rather than sorry and stick it in the cup. What is the usual stream schedule? Asks Sleepy Stitches. Generally, I stream every Wednesday and Saturday. I'm in Pacific time in the US, and so for me, the times are 1 p.m. on Saturdays and 7 p.m. on Wednesdays, but today's stream started late, and sometimes they do. So yeah, Wednesdays and Saturdays are the 2 days that I'm usually almost always on here. And I tweet announcements if you want to know like when the next one is happening or when I'm going live. I always put it up there. Tiny Bear says they love the leatherwork streams. I like those too. Those are a lot of fun. Okay, I'm gonna see how the gold crumble goes now. I don't think it needs as much time as the instructions suggested. I think that they're just to be safe, it wants you to wait, but this already feels slightly tacky, so it's working. And Pinkthorn said they were going to sleep. Is that what it is? Probably go to sleep or something. I mean, if it's 1 a.m. your time, yeah. I don't think you're going to miss too much else in the stream. After I keep putting this gold crumble on, I will paint it with a clear sealer, and that's it. So, probably tune out now. I shouldn't say that. No, don't leave. This has been a great stream. We're all hanging out. Or something. It has been, though. Thank you guys for joining me and being here with me during my stream. I don't know, I might still need some more time. I don't want to fuck it up or make it any harder. But yeah, anybody have any questions about what I'm doing here or doing elsewhere, really? Dang. Alice Carroll is cutting out sleeves. Been a great stream. I'm glad you think so. Thanks for joining us here today. Yeah, this is fucking sweet. Alright, I'm gonna show you my belt. Instead of just sitting here, I can show stuff off. Well, we've got the belt and the bag both done. Here, I'm gonna swap camera setups real fast. Oops, that's what I need. That was the wrong thing. This belt has some little slots on the back. And just gets fed through. So there's the bag hanging out, like walking off camera. And then the belt buckle will go here. My chair is in my way, so I can't step back any further. There we go. And then the belt buckle will be there. I'm like doing this in the mirror. That looks pretty sweet to me, anyway. That's the gist of all of this. I guess it's technically like hangs down on that side. Whee! Yes, I am a cosplayer. That's what we are working on. Cosplay. I do have a background in theatrical design and production, so that's where I learned a lot of the stuff that I know, but... Thanks, guys. I worked really hard on the bag. I don't have a bag expertise, because bags, like I was saying earlier, are kind of like a special thing that requires some finesse with the approach, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. I mean, given the fact that yes, there's room for improvement, I think it still looks really great. So it's always good when you can feel that way about your projects. And this is definitely tacky enough to stick now, so maybe my quick show and tell was just what we needed. Oh, I can switch my cameras back too. Sorry, I'm like really big on your screen. Well, you can't see my tiny little details. How are the boots coming along? Asked Frankie. Really well. I've got one boot almost all assembled, and then the other one I stitched like most of it together, and then I got tired because I had to hammer. They're leather, so I have to like hammer the seam allowances flat and then glue them to get a nice crease. And it's just, I needed a break. So I did one of them, and then they've been chilling for like 2 weeks. But the boots, I would say, are at about probably 80% completion. The leather has been cut. The majority of the pieces are assembled. They still need the trim on them, but I would say they're in a really good position. And they're probably the least complete item. Every other item that I've been working on is, I don't know what else, 90% at least. It's kind of hard to guess percentiles on something that's just like a nebulous thing like art. But it's definitely, everything else is like well underway, kind of putting the finishing touches on it, and then the boots are like most of the way together. So, given that I still have this weekend and like 2 days, Monday and Tuesday of the week, I think that is a good I think that I definitely have some very doable goals, I guess is a good way to say it. Is that this, I'm not going to be scrambling at 5 o'clock in the morning and crying because something didn't get done. Like, everything's coming with me in whatever state that it's in, which should be almost all the way there. Or it should be pretty much, it should be done. It's gonna be done, and I'm beyond the point where I'm worried about it not being done. And that's a good feeling, too. Alright, I think we've finally, like, gotten sufficient coverage in these little nooks and crannies. I'm just gonna keep just working it with the brush a little bit to see if anything else flakes off. If I discover anything I want to touch up. Otherwise, that's about it. And we can do that last piece. Yay, it's so shiny and flashy. Oh my gosh. That's exactly what I wanted. Alright, last piece. I'm just going into the very crevices here. Into these little curves. Try to make sure they're gold all the way around on the inside. Looking good. This is a good song too. This whole playlist is just my jam. I'm wondering now if I have any. Oh, I think I do. I think I have a soft cloth, like a microfiber cloth I could grab really fast and use that to kind of buff everything. Not just to kind of rub it around and over everything and make sure that the crumbles are coming off that way. I think that'll be a little bit nicer for it than a paper towel. So, still not setting this one down. I'm carrying it with me. Oh, and I totally do. Okay, I found my microfiber right away. Let me see over here. Sorry. Bedirge says, "Do I feel different when I cosplay?" I mean, yeah, I do. This one's a princess costume, and a number of the costumes that I make are like fancy, elegant things. Not everything, but like that's kind of one of the common themes in a lot of the choices that I make. So part of me is like wanting to be, because in my real life I'm not very elegant, and I don't spend a lot of time on my appearance or dressing up or being fancy or like getting girly or whatever, but then doing it in costume is so fun for me. So like it's not my real life like normal state, it's just me putting on the character and going and being a princess for the day, and that is fun. I don't have the energy to like do my makeup all the time or care that hard all the time, but then like to make it the occasion where you're like, yes, and then today I will be a princess is a wonderful feeling that I recommend to all of you. I had to explain seam allowances to a friend lately, says Alice of Carroll. Interesting. One of my friends told me a story about how one of their friends was doing a costume for them and like helping or sewing the dress for them, and she like patterned half of it and then was like, okay, now I have to pattern the other side, and they were like, it's symmetrical, you copy it, you do one side and you copy it, and that was like a foreign concept to them. I just thought that was funny. Not to make fun of people for not knowing things, but it's still just like, okay, try this. This thing that everyone else is doing as their normal approach. Oh, that's right, I was gonna microfiber it, that's what I was doing. Yeah, this is nice. Just make sure you don't go on Tumblr and say that. Yeah. We're not making fun of anybody here. Everybody is working at their own pace. If you don't know what a seam allowance is, then you can look it up, and it's a good place to start. But it is a starting place. Strange Cup of Tea says, I agree 100%. I don't put much effort into my appearance except when I'm in costume. Yeah, and like, you know, whether you do or don't in real life, like, you know, do the thing that makes you happy, obviously. But for me, I'm just too tired and lazy to like, I'm just so tired and lazy all the time. To put effort in on the regular basis. I put just enough effort in where I'm like, okay, cool, I'm ready to go out for the day, but it's not like dressing up. Some people do, you know, full makeup look just to lounge around in their house, which is more power to you if that is your jam. But that's not what I do. I just really enjoy being a princess sometimes on special occasions when I'm in my princess mood. Alice of Carol says, I feel different in costume, I become the character. Yeah, that's cool. I've had moments too where you're like role-playing or getting into the photograph and you have to like kind of put yourself in an emotional state sometimes to do modeling effectively. I'm not saying that I'm the best at it or whatever, but I do try. It's something I think about when I'm working. Being a princess is fun, says Linnea Rue. I love being a princess. Yes, indeed. Okay, I've used my soft cloth to kind of wipe everything. Oh, I need to use it on the other one. That's what I was originally going to do anyway. I'm going to do my last, like, dusting through this area. That's not the correct one. Cool. So this is definitely a way more textured surface than it originally had before it was gold leafed. That looks so nice with the shine. You can see all the raised areas. But that's how it comes. That's what the result is. So was my goal. Now I'm gonna use my microfiber just to make sure everything is like clean and shiny. And then we'll seal everything and then we'll be done with these. That's a whole nother thing crossed off my to-do list. So I feel like there's glue over here that maybe didn't get covered. Oh, I think I can rub it off with the microfiber. I did just shift my piece a little bit with too much pressure on it, but that's okay. Still holding onto this stick. It's not going anywhere. It's fine. What did I miss? Link fan heading out? Oh, cool. We'll go enjoy food with your friend. Thanks for stopping by, Link fan. Thanks for that airbrush compressor. That's going to be so exciting to get into airbrushing next, so thank you. I'm loving how this is turning out. Okay, I got most of my crumbles off where I feel like I can successfully paint it. I'm wondering if I should... I don't want to like handle the gold leaf area, but I'm gonna slide this off of the stick and try to clean up the crumble on the inside a little bit, just holding it in the cloth. I could probably touch it. I don't think it would kill it, but I'm just being cautious. Just gonna get my paintbrush in and around these areas and pull out the junk that's just in there so that my sealant won't be all over these crumbly pieces. Cool. So if you can see down the inside, I mostly like just got all the little flakes out. And now you can see how there is still stuff stuck to this masking tape, but it's fine. It'll still hold it while I put this on again. Squeeze it down into the tape a little bit. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, all of this stuff is just ready to be sealed. And that's what we'll do next. I'm gonna set that one back in its cup, so it's hanging out. I'm gonna dump this gold flake. Yay! Alice of Carol's asking, have I ever painted wood for cosplay? And if so, what kind of paint did I use? You know, I did not paint wood. I've stained wood. You can use all kinds of different paints, but it kind of depends on what the overall effect is that you're going for. Acrylic paint is good for most things, so it really just kind of depends on what you need the item to look like. Okay. Oh, I finished my drink. I'm sad. That's fine. I only have a little bit more to get through. This is the sealant. I'm going to also refer to my instructions before I do anything else. Okay, press metal leaf and rub down. Rub very lightly over the area again to make sure it's well adhered. Dust away excess with a soft brush or cloth and seal protect surface. And that's it. So it just says seal the surface, and that's all we have to work with. Here's my test piece from earlier. I'm gonna real quick use the sealer on that and make sure that nothing weird happens. Grab a beer for post-stream? I might. Kind of a pain in the ass to peel these tops off, but alright. I've got crap on my fingers. Alice of Carol says, painting a bow for a green arrow character. Is the bow also green? I mean, you could spray paint it. If you're painting a larger item like that, I would generally just use a spray paint unless you want it to be like specialty or fancy or something else. Alright, make sure my brushes are dusted out at least with the gold flakes before I dip them in anything. Yeah, that'll be fine. And then we'll get washed with everything else after this is done. So here is my first run of the sealer. Now it does seem to immediately dull the surface. I'm wondering if that needs to dry back, if it will dry clear back to the original shade, because it makes it like slightly darker and yellower. Maybe that's just my impression of it. I'm gonna read the bottle on this too. Hey! What does it say? The Trorion donated $44 saying, love both your awesome cosplay and Jared's gaming streams. Thanks for both keeping me entertained. Thank you so much. That is so kind of you. I really appreciate that. Have I ever made my own jewelry before? Asks Dark Floof Bun. I have, but I haven't used I haven't done metal working. I've made resin jewelry of different types. I've made resin that was designed to look like metal. I've worked with wire. I've done that kind of jewelry with beads and stuff, but I don't do metal smithing. Brush on an application surface. Do not overbrush. Dries clear in 15 to 30 minutes. Clean brush with soap and water. Alright, well yeah. This already seems pretty great. So yeah, I think it did look like it was slightly darker when I applied it, but it's already kind of no longer has that effect. So I'm just gonna go ahead and brush this on everywhere. And that'll be it. I'll use a smaller brush when I'm getting into the little crannies of the belt buckle piece. When it says do not overbrush, I'm assuming that means that it's gonna start kind of getting tacky and sticking to the surface fairly quickly. So it doesn't want you to overbrush because it doesn't want you to keep dragging your brush through the surface as it kind of settles. So that's good to know. I'm gonna try to keep it somewhat minimal and keep it smooth. I'm not overbrushing. I don't want to go back over the same areas too many times. I do want to, like, prevent brush strokes, though. Just trying to, like, be soft with it. Alright, there's one down. I'm not going to keep brushing it because it told me not to. And I'm afraid, but I think that's fine. I think that's going to dry nicely. It does have like some visible brush lines in it, which I hate, but it's going to be okay. We're going to survive. I'm not doing that one next. I'm doing this one next so that that one I can switch to a smaller brush. Starting down on the inside. I wish I'd gotten a little bit better coverage on these like edges, but I don't think it's ultimately going to be noticeable. Plus I got that spray paint base color. Yeah, you can see it going on a little bit when I hold it at an angle, and it's kind of creating a brush stroke, unfortunately, but I don't want to overbrush it either. It's like a weird balance now that I saw that in the instructions. So. You guys for keeping me company on this gold leafing journey today. This has been on my to-do list since the beginning. Well, I guess everything has, but this is one of the things I was really looking forward to doing. Because I haven't done this before, and I think the effect is really cool. There's going to be like little chunks of it. I think it's drying in the brush. Alright, I'm going to switch to another brush and then wash these out really quickly too. Making stuff is so fun, you guys, especially when you get to cover it in fake gold. What is this stuff? The white stuff I'm using? It's a sealant, and it came in the kit that I'm using for the gold leaf. So this is designed to seal the leaf after you apply it. So it's just like a top coat that will dry clear. And cover everything and prevent it from tarnishing, hopefully. If I do it well enough, because I don't want this to get wet. Yeah, there's a chance of rain for Katsu, which means I'll probably bring like a crappy raincoat, like a plastic bag to shove on myself to cover my costume if it comes to that. Hopefully that's not necessary, but gotta be prepared in any situation to just throw it on over your head. There's a hair here. I got you. This is it. We're so close to being done. And I can go wash out all my brushes before they dry with weird glue and sealer in them. I think it'll be fine though. It hasn't been very long. And I have a ton of this gold leaf kit left over, honestly. I didn't do very much with it. So if I'm just doing smaller accessories like this, I feel like this could last quite some time. Now if you're going through a larger project, then I can imagine you would need a lot more. But for little stuff like this, I'm pretty sure we used roughly 2 sheets for 3 items, because I didn't use a whole sheet for every piece. So that's, I think, a pretty wonderful ratio there for how much I can expect to get out of one kit. And this came with like 25 sheets. For $15, you get the glue, the adhesive, and like 25 sheets of gold, which is awesome. And more than what I need for this. Alright, I don't want to get into overbrushing territory. I think everything now has a nice, delightful coating. Alright guys, whee, what do you think? Seems to dry smooth enough? Yeah, pretty much. It doesn't seem to be a problem. I should bring a Hylian servant to carry my umbrella. Don't worry, I have one. His name is Jared. Just kidding, but he does always assist me when I'm in costume, which is always wonderful and necessary in a lot of cases. How am I attaching the Triforce piece to the small cloak thing? Asks Redbard. I am going to put like a pin on the back of it, basically. I might just even hot glue it. I don't know. Wow. Okay, good. Thing got messed up. Oops. This one's already pretty much dried clear without visible brush strokes, so that's awesome. But basically, this has a flat back, and I'm just going to probably slap like one of those pins on it that you would just pin it onto your shirt. So that's what I'm going to use for that. Yeah, Jared is sweet. He's very good to me. Alright, that's it. I'm done for this stream. Well, let me pull out my other piece so you can see them all together. Yay! And this does just slide right onto the end of my belt. I have it all set up to be the right size and shape and all that. So it's good to go. It'll get glued on, of course, but it fits very snugly already. So I need to go brush out these brushes, so I'm not going to draw out my goodbye. But what was that? That was like a 2.5-hour stream. Not bad. And we got so much done. And Limparian says, it looks so dope. I agree. It does look dope. And I'm very happy with it. Yeah, so that's it. Catch you guys later. Find me, well, on Instagram and Twitter is where I'm continuing to update with all of my posts about all of this. And it's been going super well. So check out those threads if you want to see more photos of this costume. And I should have finished photos of the whole costume and me in it to share by this time next weekend, or at least a selfie or something, because I'm going to be wearing it next Friday. So I'm really, really excited to finally have this on my body and be done. Alright guys, thank you all for joining me and hanging out, and I will see you later. Bye!